of the story and the narrative. The third is that we're talking about partnerships. I know this morning people were talking about different organizations and partnerships, but it's very, very important to think about partnerships and how we can develop. And the slide that you can see there, I think, is connected with the narrative that we can all tell. Mandela, great picture. You can see him with the World Cup. It's emotion, it's raw, it's meaning. But he talks about the power of sport to inspire, to unite, to create hope, an instrument for peace. It's a message, it's a positive message. It's a message that companies like Oman tell, and our honored guest here, it's the message that they like to tell through our game, through our sports. So, over the past couple of years, I've been very fortunate to spend quite a bit of time in this wonderful country. I've become familiar with some of your customs, the hospitality. It's been a real privilege. The reason we have a program with Football Club Barcelona, which is supported by Shell. It's a corporate social responsibility activity. And as you can see, this is a recent picture taken here in Muscat with our country coordinator, Nasser Hamdan, along with some of the players who travelled from Catalonia for the match that was played in Borussia Stadium, between the veterans. This is an important slide, which we'll return to later, because it's very much connected to the story of what I've seen here and what I've heard is that you actually have a very rich environment. You have a fantastic well. You have great interest in sports. You have a lot of participation. A lot of people want to play. The challenge is to take the oil through pipelines into refineries and to create sustainable football clubs. How do we take the people playing on the beaches? How do we take the people playing on the Faridjis? How do we create a model that allows the clubs to benefit and to grow? How do we do that? Which pipelines? How do we do it? So, it's probably an idea to start with the global picture and global best practice. The most successful league in the world is the English Premier League. Deloitte produce a money league every year, and this year showed 8 teams out of the top 20 were from the Premier League, including the familiar clubs such as Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea. They're all there. How do they generate their income? Well, they split it. You have match day revenue, you have television revenue, and you have commercial revenue. There we can see Manchester United. Manchester United was ranked by Forbes as the #1 sporting brand in the world. Bigger than any of the NBA teams, NFL teams. It's a huge sporting brand. They have 659 million people following them. Huge, huge support base. As you can see, David Gill, the former CEO, was very aware of this. He talked about the fact that they can get income from all revenue streams. So they don't just look at television. They look at a variety of streams. The figures that you saw are from the season 2009-2010, and there is a reason. Because the figures showed a sleeping giant from a commercial perspective. And the sleeping giant is now an on-field giant. The club that was talked about was Bayern Munich. There you can see that they were cruising into financial fair play. They were covered on all bases. The only thing they weren't doing in 2009-2010 was dominating on the field. But now we can see the influence of their off-the-field activities on the field with the great team that they have at present. And this is one of the reasons why commercialization and revenue generation is so important. When we talk about commercial performance, it is connected to on-field performance. Off-field performance generally drives on-field success. And I know later Mr. Roy will be talking about Al Ahly Club. And this will be an example of how you can do this. Now there's a danger of talking too much about the Premier League and about overseas models. And one of the terms I'm familiar with is parachute consultancy. We drop the knowledge in, we say, okay, now you run with it. Okay, so we need to look a little bit more at the local context and what we're dealing with. So I'd like to take the example of the Emirates, one of your neighbours. The first season of professionalisation there was in 2008-2009. Now, the UAE is very different from Oman. Emiratis, as you know, make up between 15 and 20% of the population. That's not like here. I'm aware of that. We have 200 nationalities living in the UAE, and many are Western expatriates, but very few of them are connected to our professional game. There are also a number of accepted norms and myths. The first one, they, the fans, need us, the club. No. We, the club, need the fans. We need to change the thinking. We, the club, need money. Money doesn't come without people. We actually need people first. We, the club, need to spend to achieve. Well, there's certainly some truth in this. But we, the club, need to invest to grow. So the local best practice model is a club that's doing quite well this season, but has been through its ups and downs. Sharjah Football Club. And you can see that their philosophy between 2009 and 2012 was to reach out to people, to build the support base. And this strategy was commended by both the AFC and the Professional League as a model which was quite unique. The strategy was based on key pillars. Family. We wanted to use football to communicate family values. This morning I heard the mention of ethics. We know that if we promote family values through football, we have ethics. This is something people believe in. Community, charity, health, wellness, education, environment, and connectivity, bringing people together through the world game. And there you can see a few slides of our new supporters. A little boy juggling the ball, he's English, wearing a Sharjah shirt. The guys behind him, one is Egyptian, and I think one is American. There you have a school sports day. There you have our new supporters, all in the stadium. But never forgetting that we have a professional team. So Abdulaziz Songho was one of our top players at the time. We have the club. And then we have family days. We have charity. We have environment activities. We have sports days. All of these about connecting with people, bringing people into our club, reaching out, bringing in. More activities. So how did we do it? Well, we had family fun days every Saturday morning. We had a facility that was empty. So what did we do? We created fun days for families. We brought them into our venue and we organized activities. We did match day events. So we actually targeted families for match days. We have shopping centers in the UAE. We needed to give people a reason to come to the matches beyond the football. Soccer schools. You'll be familiar with Arsenal soccer schools, maybe with Barcelona soccer schools. Why not a local soccer school? We created our own Sharjah Football Club soccer schools. This was connected to holiday camps and also programs such as Food for Thought about health, charity, schoolboys, community, and education. This is a family day. There are perhaps 10 nationalities on the field, all of them aged between 2 and 12 years of age. Their mums and dads are at the back. This was a match. No football, but lots of drums. We had face painting, we had activities. All of these people came to watch the game against Al Dhafra, which was a very bad game for Sharjah. We lost 5-1. But they enjoyed themselves. They enjoyed the event. This is what we were aiming for. We have new supporters, along with Marcelo, our players, trying to create human relationships through football with our players. So the kids know Marcelo. For them, Marcelo is a professional player. He's huge. So we wanted to build that relationship. Okay. Now, that takes me on to the environment. And this is the connection now between what we were doing with people and the commercial model. Because by supporting environmental awareness projects, we managed to attract a sponsor, a new sponsor, BR. BR donated 90,000 dirhams worth of dustbins for our facility. Through the message, through the club. What did we offer? We offered them a story, communication, and we offered them visibility. The success of this season is based on a strategy that started a number of years back. We actually invested heavily in the education of a group of young players. We had a good group of under-15s. We went to Sharjah Islamic Bank. We told them the story. We said, we want to educate the youth of our nation. We want to use football as the lever. And we will give you visibility on our LEDs, on our mix zone, on our media areas, maybe even on the shirt. but we need your support. SIB liked the idea of building the nation. They liked the idea of education. Plus, they could see the value of the visibility that we could offer them. They came on as supporters. They gave us 500,000 dirhams that season, and they are still a sponsor of the club to this day. We also gave the matches meaning, so kick diabetes. One of the big problems here in the region is diabetes. So we wanted to build this. So we worked with Al Zahra Hospital, and we created a match experience which involved tests, blood tests. The whole strategy is captured by that simple diagram. Community, engagement, players into the stadium. Once we get them in the stadium, we can generate revenue. And did we generate revenue? Well, yes, we did. And you can see these are all new revenue streams: merchandise, rental, soccer schools, catering, ticketing, sponsoring. Still, the lion's share of the revenue we generated was sponsoring, but we added a lot more value to our friends like Oman through the story. You can see they're excluding sponsoring. We got a lot from rental, but we also had these other revenue streams to feed into the club. And there are the commercial gains. In blue, 2010-2011. In maroon, 2011-2012. How did we do it? Well, we had to capture the water, the oil. We had to capture it in a container. How did we do this? We started membership schemes. So we wanted to try and, I know in Oman you have a lot of community football, you have a fantastic base. But how can you capture those 60 teams which play under Nadi Seeb in something that will generate revenue? Or perhaps you could think about a membership, a club membership. Oman Riyal's 5 dirhams. For this you get a card, maybe you get a cap, plus you get a couple of tickets, the game, you have a membership, and you have some revenue going into your clubs. This was the same with the juniors. We believe that football is an inclusive game. We don't want to exclude because of cost. But you know, a junior membership of maybe 5 Omani Riyals, it's not going to be a huge issue. You can give them access to quality activities and generate revenue. Connectivity. From our contacts, we developed a newsletter. And this newsletter was sent every month to more than 2,000 people. This is a great story, obviously, for our sponsors. SIB, Safe Zone, they're all there. This is great connectivity and great visibility. Merchandise. We developed a merchandise collection for our new supporters. We even used to send out email shots advertising our next match. Again, another opportunity to advertise your brand, your partner. And then we had match day programs. We moved from this to this, which was a lot more effective and great again for advertising the support of our partners and building the value of our sponsoring packages. Okay. Oh, sorry, skipping around today. The package. Now, this approach, it didn't just attract interest from local sponsors. We actually had an inquiry from Continental, which came from Germany. Continental wanted to break into the local market. They were looking for sponsors. They went to the UAE, they went to Qatar, and eventually they ended up at Sharjah. At the time, our team was sitting in the relegation spots. They came to us and they said, this is the only club that has shown us one thing. Every club we visit says, you give us the money, you give us the support, and this is what we will do. You have shown us something that you're doing and how we can build on what you're doing and how we can support. And as a result, Continental were on the verge of signing the first ever deal with a club here in the region, which would have come out of Germany, a real first. Okay. So there is a bit of a need for new thinking in a local context, and we can learn from clubs like Manchester United. Manchester United know that the value is in people. This builds the value of the sponsoring. It builds the value of all of the things we're talking about with revenue. They actually target youngsters of 7 years of age in terms of their strategy because they know then they get the siblings, they get the brothers and sisters, they get the mums and the dads. This enables them to build their reach. It's a great story for Chevrolet, their new sponsors. I'd like to finish with a couple of strategic considerations. The first is that a rising tide lifts all boats. Professionalism is new in the region, not just in Oman. And it's very, very important to be thinking about people first, because it's the people who will drive your TV rights, your sponsoring, your advertising, your operations, your merchandising. It's the fans that will buy your tickets. They'll buy the shirts. They'll buy the food and drink, attract the sponsors. They'll do all of these things. It's important to invest in assets rather than expenses. It costs money to build a professional model, like any new business, any startup. It's also important to think about contribution. Think about your story. What are you going to connect with? What are you going to talk about to your sponsors or potential partners? It's also important to think about developments just like when you're bringing up your son. At the moment, your son needs a lot of support. Maybe you're even putting them on reins, keeping them under control. By giving the support and gradually letting the son grow, the club grow, you can give him more freedom. But initially, your strength can come from a central model, thinking win-win. Activation opportunities, well, you could ask the clubs to open the venues for family days. Centrally managed commercial deals, ball deals. I know that you do something already with medical, which is fantastic. It means every club has 2 ambulances at every match. It's a centralized commercial deal. It makes more sense. If you go as a league, you're much stronger than as if you go as a club. Communication, again, what are you communicating? Contribution. And cost management, building players as assets rather than expenses. I'd just like to finish with a couple of things that are happening now globally. The company I work with, MediaPro, we've just set up the first La Liga office outside Spain. It's in Dubai. The reason for this is because La Liga knows that they have 126 followers in the MENA region. They want to get closer. They want to build their connectivity. How are they doing it? Well, they're looking at the example of Oman. They're looking at the example of Barcelona and Shell, of Manchester United and Airtel. And they're looking at corporate social responsibility as a possibility to build a story and then to add visibility. So think about your LEDs, think about your shirts, but think about them as adding to your story, adding to the narrative. Sorry. Okay, that was pretty much where I was about to finish in any case. The idea is that the story should be driving the vehicle. It should be connecting with the people. Before I finish, I'd just like to try a little trick. It's an observation task. Now, I'm going to try and balance this bat. I have a little boy. I also have a little girl, and they love this little trick, but then I know the secret, and they don't. Okay, so trying to balance it like that. That was my first attempt. Not very good. Hopefully my second is better. Okay. Did anybody notice the difference? Which was more successful, the first or the second? The second. Okay. Why was the second more successful? Eye contact, yeah? Where was I looking? The top. Okay? And I think that's a key thing that all the clubs need to think about when you're defining your strategy with commercial and revenue. If you focus at the bottom, if you look at the money, it's very, very difficult to balance that. You don't get the revenue streams. If you look at the top and you build your connectivity, if you go for the people, if you build your programs, it's a lot easier to bring the money through, to create the pipelines.
Thank you very much, Tim. نشكر تيم على عرضه وننتقل الآن إلى العرض الثاني بتقديم الدكتور عامر بن عوض الرواس عن دور القطاع الخاص في مجال الاستثمار الرياضي. تفضل دكتور.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. معالي الشيخ، أصحاب السعادة، الحضور الكريم، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Tim Roy, please excuse me, I'll speak in Arabic. أولا نحن تشرفنا كعمانتل بالدعوة للحديث عن تجربة عمانتل وليس بصفة عامة عن دور القطاع الخاص، ولكن قد تكون تجربة عمانتل كمثال لدور القطاع الخاص في تطوير الرياضة. فنبدأ بإذن الله. طبعا الهدف الأساسي دائما نحن نسأل عن الهدف. الهدف هو خلق مجتمع وبناء مجتمع إيجابي صحي يتمتع بصحة جيدة وبسعادة. يمكن السعادة ما ظاهرة كثير في صورة الشباب لأنه بيصارعوا الموج الأبطال، ولكن بتظهر إن شاء الله السعادة في السلايدز القادمة بإذن الله. لكن الهدف الأساسي هو أنه مجتمع صحي، مجتمع متفاعل مع بعض، لأنه معظم الرياضات رياضات جماعية أو حتى إن كانت رياضات فردية فهناك تفاعل من خلال الجمهور والمشاركين. وبالتالي يحتسب الآن، العلماء يقولون الآن من أهم محفزات نمو مؤشر السعادة، كلكم تعرفون الآن أن الحكومات والمجتمعات وبالذات رؤساء البلدية في كل مدينة الآن يسعون لقياس مؤشر السعادة في المدينة المسؤولين عنها. وظهر أن من أهم محفزات نمو مؤشر السعادة هو ماذا يعمل القاطنون في هذا البلد بوقت فراغهم. وكلكم تعلمون أنه من أهم الأشياء في وقت الفراغ للصحة لجلب السعادة هي ممارسة الرياضة أو متابعة الرياضة بصفة عامة. فبالتالي مؤشر السعادة أمر مهم جدا، هذا هدف سامي. هذا عندما ننظر مثل ما تفضل تم، أنا أعتقد الفكرة اللي طرحها تم الآن بتساعدني أنا كثير في الرد على الصحفيين، لأنه بأمانة كثير من الصحفيين يعني يحاولوا أن يسألوني ما هو العائد المباشر. طبعا أنا أحضر كل هذه المقابلات من غير آلة حاسبة، فما أقدر أحسب لهم العائد المباشر هو كم بالضبط، ما ممكن احتسابه بالآلة الحاسبة، وإنما أنت تنظر إلى أعلى المضرب مثل ما كان هو، تنظر إلى البعد. الاستثمار في القطاع الرياضي هو كالاستثمار في قطاع التعليم، استثمار بعيد المدى، ويمكن حتى أكثر تعقيدا من الاستثمار في التعليم، لأن الاستثمار في التعليم ربما يركز على العقول فقط، بينما الاستثمار في الرياضة يركز على الاثنين معا، العقول والأجساد. فبالتالي هو استثمار بعيد المدى. وإذا نظرنا إلى العائد على المدى البعيد، وأنا تعمدت أن أبدأ بهذه الصورة حتى أن نحن نتحدث عن دورنا الآن في إحياء الإرث التاريخي لعمان فيما يتعلق بريادة البحار. هذه الفرحة اللي أنا كنت أتكلم عنها والسعادة اللي جاية كلكم تتذكرون، ما حد يقدر ينسى الفرحة اللي كلنا شعرنا بها عند فوز منتخب السلطنة الحمد لله بالكاس 19 لدورة الخليج العربية. الآن كلنا نستذكر هذه السعادة، أتت ضمن جهود كنتيجة لجهود كبيرة من كل فئات المجتمع، من الرياضيين أنفسهم، من الاتحاد، من الوزارة، من الإعلاميين اللي شاركوا أيضا في تحفيز الحضور والدعم. نحن كان لنا دور ونحن فخورون جدا أن احنا كنا جزء من جلب هذه السعادة. وإلى اليوم نحن نتذكر، أنا شخصيا أتذكر كل ما سمعت أغنية الغاوي، كلكم تتذكرونها، وكأنها ارتبطت ارتباط مباشر في الذاكرة بفوز السلطنة بهذه الكأس الغالية. الآن عندما نسمعها نتذكر ونفخر أيضا أن عمان تل كانت راعية لهذه الأغنية، مش فقط للمنتخب وللحدث. فالحمد لله كان شيء من الأمور بعيدة المدى أو الأهداف السامية تحقق في أحداث كثيرة، منها هذا الحدث اخترته لأنه الأكثر تأثيرا من كل الأحداث الأخرى. طبعا بالنسبة للدوري ذكر الأستاذ سامي جزاه الله خير علاقتنا بالدوري من 2008، كلكم تستذكرون أنه بدأ بعمان موبايل وانتهى الآن بعمان تل، ومستمر إن شاء الله ما دام الهدف متحقق. بالنسبة لنا الدوري يصلنا بكل فئات المجتمع في كل مناطق السلطنة، لأنه لو تلاحظوا في معظم دوريات العالم الشريك الأساسي هو شركات الاتصالات، لأنه شركات الاتصالات طبيعة عملها تحتاج الوصول إلى كل فئات المجتمع، وهي الشركات الوحيدة اللي عندها وتلمس حياة كل أفراد المجتمع، كل من يستخدم الهواتف. إحنا في عمان عندنا أكثر من 2,700,000 مشترك في الموبايل، بالإضافة 365,000 مشترك آخرين في الثابت والإنترنت. فبالتالي نحن نلمس حياة كل هالناس. الطريقة الأسهل لنوصل لهم هي عن طريق رياضة شعبية منتشرة في كل مناطق السلطنة وتمارس وتتابع، اللي ما يمارسها يتابعها على الأقل في كل مناطق السلطنة. فلذلك الدوري كان أحد المشاريع المستهدفة من قبل فريق التسويق والتطوير بالشركة. الشيء الآخر هو طواف عمان. هذا استثمار من نوع آخر، هذا عائده على البلد كلها. فأنت كشركة عندك أطراف ذات علاقة، منهم المشتركين وتكلمنا عنهم فيما يتصل بالفئة الأوسع من فئات المشتركين، هم محبي رياضة كرة القدم على سبيل المثال. ولكن أيضا عندك أحد الأطراف ذات العلاقة هو المجتمع أو البلد اللي أنت تستفيد من خيره وتعمل فيه ومرخص لديه. فالتسويق للبلد سياحيا كان الهدف الأساسي، ولكن هناك في هدف رياضي، هدف صحي، نشر ثقافة صحية لريادة أو سياقة الدراجات الهوائية. وكان طواف عمان محقق لعدة أهداف أنا لا أذكرها جميعا، ولا أتذكر أنه كان هناك برزنتيشن من فريق التسويق عندنا حددت أهداف حتى أنا شخصيا من المتابعين للرياضة، وحضرت حتى قبل هذا الحدث طواف فرنسا حول 3 بلدان تبعته وحضرت مع المتسابقين، ولكني فاتني كثير من الأفكار اللي أتوا بها الإخوان وأنا أحييهم زملائي في التسويق، اللي هي عوائد مباشرة وغير مباشرة لعمان تل من خلال رعاية طواف عمان. والحمد لله لا نزال مستمرين معه، وما في جدل عن العائد اللي أتابه طواف عمان للسلطنة، خصوصا من ناحية إبراز المظهر الحضاري والطبيعي للسلطنة. كلنا نعرف أن السلطنة تتميز بمعالم طبيعية ما موجودة في أي مكان في المنطقة، فبالتالي بيحفز على السياحة. وأيضا في برنامج آخر متصل بأن نحن نحاول ننشر ثقافة ممارسة قيادة الدراجات الهوائية، لأنها أيضا مصدر مهم من مصادر الصحة والعافية والسعادة. البرنامج الآخر اللي ربما بدأنا نحن بصورة متصلة به هو برنامج عمان للإبحار للشباب، ونحن عندنا شراكة نفتخر بها مع عمان سيل. الهدف أن نحن ننشأ جيل. أنا تكلمت قبل قليل عن أهمية الاستثمار بعيد المدى عندما يتعلق بالرياضة، حاله كحال التعليم. فنحن الحمد لله أنهينا السنة الأولى، وبعد مراجعة العائد والتجربة، وحقيقة نحن نشكر القائمين على عمان سيل وديفيد موجود هنا، أنه قدموا لنا تقرير كتاب متكامل عن التجربة الأولى باحتساب العائد المباشر اللي هو ربما أسفل المضرب، وكذلك كل ما هو موجود بين أسفل المضرب إلى أعلى المضرب، وكان التركيز على ما هو في أعلى المضرب اللي هو الهدف النهائي، أنه نحن نعطي فرصة للشباب العمانيين من رواد المدارس أنهم يكونوا بحارة المستقبل، وهم يفوزوا بالميداليات الذهبية للسلطنة. والسلطنة لديها في اعتقادي أنا الشخصي والفريق القائم على هذا الأمر أنه لديها فرصة كبيرة جدا، لأنه البيئة موائمة، السواحل موجودة في معظم مناطق عمان، فبالتالي هذا الرياضة يمكن أن تمارس وتجيب عائد للسلطنة، وفرصة عمان أن تفوز في سباقات القوارب أعلى من بعض الرياضات الأخرى. فبالتالي احنا كان لنا شرف الاستثمار، وبعد ما اطلعنا على التجربة ودرسناها كان هناك أيضا في تعزيز للشروط وتطوير للتجربة، وإن شاء الله راح يتم الإعلان عن تجديد الاتفاق لعام آخر وعام بعده، اعتمادا على التجربة التي تأتي بعد ذلك. طبعا كنتيجة لهذه الشراكة استطاعت إبحار عمان سيل أنها تجيب كثير من السباقات إلى عمان، وهذه السباقات أظهرت الشركة العمانية للاتصالات ورجعت لنا فائدة وعائد من ناحية إبراز الهوية التجارية، بالإضافة إلى العائد عندما هؤلاء العائد المباشر عندما يأتي هؤلاء المتسابقون ومن يشجعهم ومن يديرهم كلهم يستخدموا قطاع الاتصالات، فهناك أيضا عائد مباشر. التجربة المهمة اللي نريد نتكلم عنها وإن شاء الله نطورها الآن، نحن ننظر إلى موقع آخر، هي تجربة أو بايك اللي هو الدراجة الهوائية العمانية. نحن عملنا مع بلدية مسقط ومع وزارة الرياضة أن نحن نترك هذه الدراجات في مطرح لمن يريد أن يستخدمها سواء من المواطنين أو السياح. هناك 6 دراجات، والأمس كانت الإحصائية أنه الاستخدام أكثر من 12,000 شخص استخدمها خلال السنة الأولى. فحقيقة هذا يعتبر عائد كبير جدا لهذا الاستثمار الصغير في حجمه ولكن الكبير في طموحه. تفكروا في استثمار، وبتلاحظوا الديزاين مال الدراجة انعمل أيضا بطريقة أنه يستطيع الراكب أن يسوقه وهو لابس دشداشة، حتى نعطي فرصة للشباب العمانيين والعمانيين من كل الفئات العمرية أنهم يجربونه، وبالتالي قد يقتنوا دراجاتهم بأنفسهم. حتى أنه الديزاين فحص على السياقة بالعباءة بالنسبة للمرأة، ونحن نتمنى إن شاء الله أن نكرر هذه التجربة في ولاية السيب، لأنه الآن مركز حضري كبير وفي مناطق الآن طورتها البلدية الحمد لله، نستطيع لأنه يحتاج أن يكون في مسار معين لمسألة السلامة على الطريق. تكلم تم عن تجربة الأساطير، وإحنا بالنسبة لنا كان في عائد مباشر إسعاد الناس الذين حضروا المباراة، وكلكم رأيتم التفاعل. أنا ما كنت أصدق أنه كلهم حافظين أغاني هذه الأندية وكانوا يغنوها خلال ساعة ونص، بالإضافة إلى إسعاد موظفينا. نحن من الفئات، نحن تكلمنا عن البلد اللي نشتغل فيه، المستثمرين المشتركين، ولكن أيضا موظفينا فئة ذات علاقة، نحن واجبنا أيضا أن نسعدهم. باستثمار صغير جدا استطعنا أن نجلب لموظفينا وأبنائهم، بالإضافة فتحنا للآخرين من الزوار اللقاء المباشر مع هؤلاء النجوم حتى يكونوا مصدر إلهام لهم. وحقيقة نحن نشكر وزارة الرياضة والأخ ناصر حمدان وتم، لأنه أتوا بفريق من الشباب اللي الآن يدرسون في المدرسة الرياضية مدرسة كرة القدم، وجربوا اللعب مع أبناء موظفي الشركة أمام الشركة. عملنا